Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin. With me is Jeff Dover. Let's talk football.
We're a couple of average football fans that watch college and the NFL. We hope to earn your like and subscribe today. This is our review of both the BYU game and the Texas Tech game because they're going to be playing each other in the Big 12 championship. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, I mean, they both held serve. They both took care of business. It's just that BYU arrived at the game about 15 minutes late.
It's a good point. And it's, listen, and holding serve isn't nothing. Looking at you, SMU, like who had all they had to do was win that game to be in the ACC championship. So these games aren't nothing. And it was both played really well, right? And for me, the story for both of them really was the defense. Both defenses look really good. And so this is going to be a great matchup in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, it's defense. Both of these teams seem to be led by their defense. It's not like they have bad offenses. They obviously have good offenses too, but the defense, I feel like every time we cover both teams, we keep talking about the defense. Texas Tech's top 5 in the country, number 3, I think, in defense. Their offense is in the top 5. Texas Tech is really, really good. But
yeah, and we mentioned this in another review show yesterday, was that, when to shut someone out after scoring 49 points is really hard because they're getting the ball back multiple times. Like West Virginia had multiple possessions and the defense was still able to stop them. And in the last few series, at least, with a lot of backups in, like this Texas Tech's starting quarterback was out. The backup went 4 for 5 for 74 yards with 2 TDs. And there's a lot of backups on defense too. So that's a pretty good sign. If you're a Texas Tech fan, you got a deep team there.
Yeah, actually, that was one of my notes here is team depth was on display, but it's been on display with this team kind of all year with Texas Tech. I mean, you've got multiple running backs that can go off, and you've got multiple receivers that can be your featured receiver. I mean, you can really spread it around, and he does spread it around on this team. And we've seen multiple QBs on this team step in. Now I know Hammond's injured, but Lloyd Jones looked good. It's like they're on display. The depth is just literally on display in this game. Clearly, you're just the superior team to West Virginia. West Virginia's got, it's the first year of Rich Rod being back there. We have seen this team get to national top 5 level with Rich Rodriguez there. So if he knows how to, we're just going to spend 1 minute on West Virginia here. If he knows how to play the NIL game, which is a new thing for him, at least him at West Virginia, who knows? Maybe that this can in 5 years or 4 years, if he lasts that long, become a power again as it was once under Rodriguez. But for now, it's a massive rebuilding project. Texas Tech took care of business, like you said. A shutout, even with backups in, is especially in their building. They don't want to go out like that. They want to at least put a point on the board, right?
No, they don't. That's the worst loss they've had in their history. And that was since 1891 or something like that. So they absolutely don't want to go out like that. They literally could not run the ball. We say that a lot on our review shows, but this is a case where they really, really could not run the ball. They had 22 carries for 37 yards. Their quarterback had the most carries. The next closest one was a guy with 5 carries, which is crazy. So Texas Tech's defense would not let them do anything.
Just nothing. So this is the superior team flexing its muscle here. Maybe, I don't know if the coach will ever admit it, but maybe a little bit of style points here, given the nonsense of how the committee functions, which you and I are not fans of how the committee functions. This playoff thing we know it's an invitational, but that includes your rankings throughout the year. They're thinking about that all year, these committee people. They are adjusting rankings starting from week 1 so that they can hopefully arrive at what they want as the most marketable teams, I guess, is my assumption, in the playoffs. I think Texas Tech is one of those teams. They have a great story. The team itself is just really, really good. And they also have kind of an interesting story, if stories matter to the stupid committee. But this, at 11-1, and just blasting teams all year long. You know what? After that game, I thought, how did they ever lose?
I know. Well, which brings us to BYU when we talk about the Invitational, because it'll be an absolute shame if both these teams are not in the playoffs, right? And which is the way that it's looking right now. BYU, Bear Bachmeier is continues to be a revelation at quarterback. A very efficient 21 for 25 for 289
Yep.
yards. Does not look like a freshman so much anymore. LJ Martin is an absolute monster. It's rare. I can't believe he didn't go over 100 yards in this game. It was just 22 carries for 95 yards, but he looked like he did. One of my favorite plays from this game was when they had the running back toss for UCF and BYU intercepted it, which was like, and that almost never happens, like, because they just read it right. And it was a really good play by them. BYU is a great offense, great defense. And it's a shame that one of these two, as of right now, at time of recording, it looks like one of these two aren't going to make it to the playoffs.
Well, on that interception, that was his guy anyways, right? So
still
had
to cover a lot of ground to get it.
Well, he did.
He did.
It was a great play. You don't let that ball go. You can't let that ball go. But again, in the BYU game, this is just the better team. Now, they kind of were sleepwalking through the first couple of series there, but then afterwards, okay, so they give up 14 points, and then afterwards they outscore them 41-7 is the rest of the game. So they kind of start realizing, oh wait, right, we gotta finish this game. Like, we have to finish these guys off. Now the announcers brought up a point that I don't want to indict BYU on this point, but he said by game time they already knew they were in the championship game because of events of other games. So I don't know if that's a factor to them showing up a little flat. And to UCF's credit, they showed up like they wanted to impress in that first two series. And when you combine their energy and their effort with BYU just seeming to need to wake up a little bit there. You know what it reminded me of is Indiana had a bit of a clunky start in the Purdue game, and clearly the superior team then just blasted them for the rest of the game. So that kind of is what this looked like a little bit. It's like, okay, let's get going. And then they just exerted their will on them.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think UCF, goes in thinking like, if we beat them, we could potentially ruin their season, right, at their place. And this is their last game. They're not going to a bowl game. And so, or if they won that, they might have been bowl eligible, right? So they had a lot to play for. And it would be hard to find out right before the game that you're making the Big 12 championship game and then keep the pedal to the metal, like, from opening kickoff. So I think you're right. I think they started a little slow, but also, like, this is what a championship caliber team does, right? If they have a slow start and then they can recover, and, like, with both defense and offense.
Oh yeah. And they did recover, and they held them to whatever it is, 40 yards rushing. And Taven Jackson actually looks like a bit of a problem. Like, he can be a problem at quarterback, but now I think BYU is still feeling the loss of their number one receiver there. So he's just not there. So JoJo Phillips contributed a bit more. Parker Kingston, so much is landing on him. Now, he pulled up a little lame too after one of those plays. Yeah. So hopefully he'll be healthy, fully healthy. As of time recording, we haven't heard if it's just a nagging thing or what it was. It's just, you can't afford to have him go down too. Like, it's
and he had a key kick return too, right?
Yeah,
he's they absolutely need him at wide receiver 2 at least, or 1, depending on how you look at it. But but in terms of, like, playing around, we have to talk about that for Texas Tech just for a second, because you can tell when you're dominating a game when they get their middle linebacker involved on offense as much as they did, because he ran for a touchdown and tried to throw for another one. Now he threw an interception, but that really shows you, like, how far, like, ahead they were, and what they think about their quality of their middle linebacker.
Yeah, when you're angling to build up his resume for the Heisman, which I think he's great. I think he should be represented, but like, how dominant are you where you're just putting in place to get his stats up, which is, it's a bummer that you even have to try to do that. The Heisman is such a, it really is just a stats trophy. They should literally call it the stats trophy at this point, because you can't, like, and Ndamukong Suh was robbed of that trophy that one season, because a defensive tackle just doesn't put up stats. But if you watch that season, you're like, oh, that's easily the best player in the country. But apparently the voters a lot of them don't even pay attention. They just kind of look at who's tops and who's name worthy, and that's about that. So I follow a couple people who are actual Heisman voters who aren't necessarily big names in the college football announcing space or journalism space or ex players, and they take it seriously. They watch all the games, but they know for a fact other voters are they just sort of mail it in, and they just look in who's popular. I'll just pick that guy. He's on a team that went 11-1 or whatever.
Yeah. No, and that's I've heard a pretty good argument for, most valuable player versus most productive player or something, like, you know what I mean? Because that's really what it is. Because like a valuable player would be like a stud left tackle or defensive tackle or something like that, where that really could be the best player in the country. But you're not going to have numbers necessarily. It always reminds me of Deion Sanders too. In one of his Pro Bowl years, he had like 14 tackles total, and that's just because no one threw to him, right? So like that's versus like all-star safeties now tend to be on crappy teams because they make like over 100 tackles and stuff, right?
Yeah, and a lockdown corner is not going to get many stats.
No,
but then they got to start returning kicks and getting that sort of stuff to try to get on the stat sheet. So it's anyways, so I think Rodriguez is awesome. He deserves to at least be there. But at the same time, I wouldn't put too much stock in it if he isn't. It's more the defensive awards and the awards for his position. Where does he land on in that? Because that's what matters. Because the people voting on that, or however that's chosen, you're really paying attention to how good they are at what they do. Getting him some touchdowns for the Heisman it's actually kind of fun to see it. But at the same time, that's not why he's good. It's not because
exactly.
Which sucks because they are playing the game as it needs to be played for the sake of the Heisman specifically, which
and you're right. It's like, I think it's the Butkus Award might be for the best linebacker, and so he should absolutely, should be in to get in the short list for that. But
100%,
but no, and it's again, so this is setting up that there's a great Big 12 championship game. I want to see, sometimes they talk about like with a college regular season, you don't want to see a replay of games in the playoffs or the conference championship. You know what I mean? Like that happened in one year where I think Ohio State played Michigan. They were going to play each other again, like in the Big 10 championship game or something like that. And so, but this is a time where I'm absolutely want to see this game again. It was a good game before. Texas Tech got the better of them. People are sort of on, like when you look at a bracket projection right now, they're just sort of penciling in Texas Tech in there. And I don't know if you would do, like, I think BYU's got a chance to win this game.
Yeah, I was just looking it up. So this one's at AT&T Stadium. Was the Big 12, wasn't it for a bit there where that championship game was at a home team?
I don't know. I can't remember. I think it's been neutral for a while.
Yeah.
But
okay. So I know there was. Anybody listening here will correct me in the comment section. I remember there was a conference that did it for at least a couple of seasons.
Maybe Mountain West.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it would be fun if it was a thing you could earn home field advantage for a championship game. But so hopefully the crowd should be split. Both of these teams should travel. BYU is going to travel, and for sure Texas Tech is going to travel for this one. Now the controversy, the issue is that you both have 11-1 teams, and the awkwardness for BYU is their only loss is to Texas Tech, which is technically which is oddly a better loss if you want to talk about quality losses than Texas Tech losing to Arizona State.
Yep.
So it's right now it's out of the, but then you can do strength of schedule and all that stuff. But if we're just talking about the one loss, BYU lost to a better team, even though it's these guys. So if they lose to them again, someone mentioned this in the comment section last week. Well, they still have lost to the better team. Like, it's so dumb. Like they should both be in. If you win 11 games and you're in one of these four conferences, right? This is one of the big four, as it were.
Yep.
That should right there. That should be enough. And if they get left out and somebody like Texas with 3 losses gets put in, that's just going to be a shame.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And if you think about it, BYU's got one loss to, like you said, like a top 5 team, which would really put them in terms of quality loss near the top. Like there's a lot of other teams that have one loss against really good teams, but some of them would be like ranked 6, ranked 8 or something, you know what I mean? So it isn't just based on the loss, like that is the strength of schedule for the rest of the teams, but that is, you could have them potentially ranked a lot higher. But anyway, so I think that that's going to be a really good championship game. It's really big. It'd be a shame for the loser if they don't get to make the playoffs, because it's going to be that'll be a quality loss too. Whoever does lose the Big 12 championship game, depending on how it goes. But I think I'm really excited to see like which defense is going to step up and really, if they can be as dominant as they have been, because both these offenses are pretty good too. So that's just a really good matchup.
Yeah, I don't know if Chase Roberts is going to be back in time for in that game. I don't know what the status of his injury is. We haven't seen anything as of time of this recording. So, I mean, they obviously would rather be at full strength on offense. Speaking about BYU, Texas Tech looks like they're all there too. I don't know if they are going to have key injuries going into that game, but it doesn't, what can you do? Injuries are injuries at this point. Yep. Both teams are, whatever they're both dealing with, it is what it is at this point. This is what you have to put on the field. You have to win with what you have. So this is going to be a fun game to me. My guess is BYU is going to show up better than last game, and my guess is Texas Tech is going to show up as they have been showing up.
Yeah, no, very true. And I think that if Martin has been able to run wild on just about anyone, and so if they can run, the BYU can run against the Texas Tech defense, that's going to be big for them. But I think Bachmeier can also pass really well. So it's I think it's just a really good matchup.
Yeah. So, do you think if it's a close game, the committee would keep them both in no matter who wins or loses?
I mean, it's really hard. Like, I would want them to. I don't know how there's going to be, I don't know how, I don't honestly can't speak for the committee. I don't know what they look at.
Neither of us, nobody can speak for the committee.
No, like, and because also as of time of recording, like in terms of the bracket, Vandy's not in either. And I think that you can make an argument for them being over some other teams too. So,
or is it more Tech has kind of already punched their ticket, even if they lose this game, because they're going in ranked higher?
And then, I mean, really, that's a great question. If BYU wins, does Texas Tech left out? I mean, that's I don't.
Right, because then, I hate this. I hate this.
No,
I've never liked this playoff thing. I didn't even like the BCS when it started with just 1 versus 2. So, and then when it went to, I accepted it, but reluctantly. And then when it went to the 4, and I was like, oh, this sucks. And it's because 11 of the top 12 teams in the country all have to finish the season with a loss in this new system. Whereas back before the BCS even existed, all 6 of those teams get to finish with a win.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome when the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, like the Sugar Bowl, all could have been the national championship game, so to speak, because you had those games are just littered with the top 10 teams, or whatever, top 8, however you want to slice it up there. And somewhere in there, each of those games could be featuring the win that fetches the national championship. Also, all of those teams, six of the top 12 get to have a win, versus here 11 of them lose.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I had never thought about for so many teams, it's really ending it with a loss, right? Like there's no, because there's only one winner, really. And so that's a lot of losers. And so to have almost, like half any team that won at least 6 games, half of them, whatever that, 20 teams, 40 teams or something, to finish with a win does feel like a way better way to end the season. Cause but yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. I'm full circle on that. When I first started watching college football, I thought, what are these bowl games? What is this? And then there's the controversy, people voting, and you have multiple teams finishing undefeated. There's a few seasons like that even. And then now looking at how they have to finagle their way into ranking 12 teams in the teams in the top 12 just to get what they want for TV. And I mean, it's not like they're undeserving. They typically get, all the teams that they end up putting in there are going to be really, really good. And I know some of the more hardcore analysts are saying only the top 6 even have a chance anyways, but stranger things have happened. So, something can happen. Somebody can get hurt in the middle of a game. Somebody can get a penalty and get thrown. We don't really know, but but here you just guarantee so many of those teams finishing the season with a loss and also college football is unique that way. It was the only sport that did that. And you just can't play off 100 teams or however many are in Division One. It's almost impossible to really determine who's actually the national championship, national champion. It's just going to come down to the teams with the biggest resource anyways. So I don't know. I thought it was more fun to be able to end the season on a win for more teams. But
for sure.
Well, this will be a good one, and hopefully somehow both of them end up in, because I think both of them deserve it. And if they can't, it super sucks that 2 teams with 11 wins can't get into the playoff. That would suck.
What would help, and this is a crazy scenario, but it's Virginia's playing Duke in the ACC championship. So if Duke wins, because it's the highest ranked team, right? So then that would actually help BYU or Texas Tech, because if Duke wins, neither Duke or Virginia are going to the playoffs. And so like it'd pretty much be Miami, which as of time of recording, BYU was ranked ahead of Miami in the playoff day. So that's possible at least. But anyway.
That's the ACC. What the heck? What kind
that was crazy.
I think the last thing they wanted was for SMU to lose and then Duke go in with. What does Duke already have? 4 losses? 5? 4? Like
something like that.
They've got enough that makes that game sort of a kind of
they're
a black
7-5 right now overall.
Right.
And they're 6-2 in the conference. Yeah.
So it throws sand in the gears of how they've structured this system. Now this year they've gotten rid of the automatic qualifier. Imagine if Duke won last year.
That would have been nuts. Yes.
So they go in with 5 losses.
Yeah.
Again, it's a beauty pageant. It's an invitational beauty pageant. So hopefully both of these teams are pretty enough to get in.
That was the ACC ended up with 5 teams at 6-2. And it's and Duke is the lowest ranked one out of the 5 and is in the championship. So
I watched that game too, the SMU losing to Cal. It was I mean, Cal's quarterback. If you guys haven't been watching, you have to go watch Cal's quarterback. He's going to be a Heisman finalist in the next 3 years for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
You called that early in the season too. He's looked good most of the season.
Well, Dina's son goes there, and so we went up and watched, and then I've just been paying attention. He's already like got NFL type footwork and mechanics and arm and awareness. He's it. He's in the top 5, I'd say, in the country already. And when you and watching that game and flipping back to like Auburn, Alabama, and watching those 2 QBs just fumble their way through the game, and then I go back to Cal and Sagapolatelli is just throwing darts all over the field. And I thought, oh my God, like Ty Simpson will be good, but man, it was just a stark contrast of quarterback play between the 2 and just how crisp he actually is. So, but anyways, back to these 2 teams. Hopefully. It'll be a real shame if one of them gets left out. I'm looking forward to this game. I'm assuming BYU is going to come with a bit more energy and focus. It's not, I guess, not that they weren't focused, but I'm assuming they're going to put a better foot forward in this next game. And I mean, just looking forward to it.
Still outscored them like 40-7 after that first quarter. So not, still played pretty well for the whole game.
I just mean that's,
you don't want to have a quarter like that against Texas Tech.
You you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. It'll get real. It'll be, I mean, I don't know how much worse it can get. 14-0's pretty bad, but you can't come out flat against Texas. Just absolutely not. All 4 quarters, you gotta be there. All right, that's all I got. You got anything else in your notes?
No.
All right, well, it's a great season for both teams. Congrats to both teams, and we are super looking forward to watching this championship game, and we'll also have a review of that game once that one's done. So if you're still watching us, we appreciate you checking out the channel. We know it's small. We just started it last year. If you'd like to support us and you like what we have going on, a like and a subscribe goes a really long way, and we'd super appreciate it. So for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.